Hello everyone, my name is Dippu Singh and I'm leader of emerging technologies at Fujitsu North America. And today we are going to talk about one of the final frontiers in the DevOps revolution, which is none other than the physical network. While our application stacks they have moved to containers and serverless architectures, our physical hardware, which is like the switches, routers, and the firewalls, you name it, right? They often remain a black box, which is managed by manual um, command line interface, which is CLI entries. And we call this session Taming the Hardware because it's time we treated our infrastructure not as a collection of appliances, but as version programmable code. And we will be looking at the journey of transitioning from a manual toil to a robust infrastructure as a code framework. And for this, we will be using two key technology or the tool sets. One is Ansible and the second one is the Python. Right. Before we dive into the technical details, let's quickly outline our part today. We will start by examining the current manual bottlenecks and the fragmentation that plagues the legacy networks. And from there, we will transition into our solution, which is a robust unified infrastructure as a code architecture, and we'll be validating it with a real world performance metrics from a large government project which we have implemented. And finally, we will map out a strategic continuous improvement plan to take this automation even further in future. All right, so let's enter our first core piece, which is what are the current challenges, the current state of our infrastructure, and the challenges which we face every now and then in the current state, right? And let's explore them in detail. So let's address the, I will say, the elephant in the room. Like, why is the network automation so hard? Um, First is the CLI fragmentation. Like, if you have a Cisco in the core and Juniper at the edge, you are speaking two different languages. Like, it's not an apple to apple conversation which will happen, or a comparison which is going to happen. And this lack of abstraction, it makes the unified management kind of a dream. The second is the deployment toil. The industry data, it suggests that roughly 80% of an admin's time is spent on repetitive tasks, which is like VLAN tagging or port configurations or any kind of credential updates. Like, this is all dark time, right? That is steals away the time of an admin who should probably invest more into innovation rather than doing same repetitive task again and again. Finally is the compliance drift. Like, every time someone logs into a switch and makes a quick fix via a CLI interface, you have created a snowflake. Like, over time, your network becomes a collection of a unique, undocumented states that are just a nightmare for security audits and stability. So, having established the pain points, we will now shift our focus to the solution, and we'll go and magnify how this solution was created to a low level detail. So, our solution, it rests on three pillared architecture. Um, at the heart is the controller node. This is the central brain where the Ansible code resides. It's where our playbooks are executed and our inventory is managed also. Um, Crucially, we utilize an agentless model. Like, unlike server-side automation that might require a chef client or maybe a puppet agent kind of an architecture, um, we communicate with hardware via open SSH or WinRM. And this is vital for networking because you can't exactly install third-party software on a proprietary switch OS, right? And that's um, not possible, and that's why this route we have taken. Lastly, everything is grounded in a single source of truth. Like if it is not registered in Git or committed in Git, it does not exist. And this allows us to treat a network configuration change exactly like a software pull or push request, which is complete with like code reviews or any kind of audit trails. And this means that the network configuration state is continuously versioned and it is audited. And thereby effectively it is transforming every infrastructure change into a standard reviewable software pull request or a push request. So by enforcing this strict architectural triad, we completely eliminate any kind of untracked out of the band modifications, which is what our pain point was. Like how do we track all these changes which are happening just like that? So let's look at the under the hood. I will say the magic happens in three-stage transformation flow. It starts with the YAML definitions. These are declarative. We don't tell the system how to change a port. Rather, we tell the system what port should look like. And that YAML definition or the code is then fed into the Jinja 2 engine, and this is our translation layer. It takes our abstract VLAN 10 definitions and it generates a specific syntax which is required for, let's say, Cisco iOS XE device or maybe a Juniper June OS device. And finally, we have a Python integration. While the Ansible it handles the orchestration portion of it, the Python is kind of a workhorse. Like it allows us to extend the functionality. It performs deep packet parsing, or it also handles any kind of non-standard inventory APIs that a basic module probably can miss when we are integrating them. So Python takes care of all of those things. All right. Um, so automation without verification is um, a disaster. Like it's a faster way to break things, right? And that's why we implement a closed loop kind of a flow. Stage one is the pre-audit, where before a single line of configuration is pushed, we snapshot the current state to ensure the hardware is ready. Stage two is the deploy difference, which we create. So the Ansible, it calculates the delta, which is the minimal set of the commands which are needed to move from the current state to the target state. And this reduces the blast radius of any kind of change. And stage three is the state assert, like we use assert modules to verify the connectivity, latency, and protocol status immediately after the push. And if the assertion fails, the system can trigger an automatic rollback. Now let's move into the key outcome section to look at the empirical data. Um, Architecture and theory are only as valuable as the tangible benefits if they deliver it to the business which we have created this, right? So to see this in the real world, we implemented this at a large government website use case, and they faced massive latency in their website infrastructure updates. Like by moving to an Ansible driven IAC model, um, they reduced the website update times from an over an hour to just like 5 minutes. And more impressively, their security patching cycle, which used to take like several days of manual checking, it was compressed into just 45-minute automated run. So this isn't just about the speed, it's about the ability to respond to zero-day vulnerabilities, like which happens across like thousands of nodes simultaneously. Um, Also, the ROI was kind of staggering. Like we saw 94% reduction in the working hours for the reconfigurations. But the standout metric is the inventory audit, like manual audit of 2000 plus servers used to take our team 15 to 30 days of painstaking work. With our Ansible framework, we performed a full documented audit of that same environment in exactly 10 minutes. And that is the power of taming the hardware. So, as we look beyond the current achievements, let's think about what is coming ahead. And that's why we want to define the um, roadmap, um, and how we want to continuously improve it, and also take into the considerations related to um, like specific constraints which we are currently facing, and we want to definitely overcome them as we move ahead with the time. So and I would wouldn't be technically correct if I told you like this was very easy, right? And that's why we have uh, and I'm just flashing the four top key constraints which we identified, and we must be actively navigating them whenever we are deploying this architecture. The first is the compliance fear, like roughly 60% of the organizations they hesitate to automate because as they assume the rapid releases will destabilize their critical legacy applications. Second, we have the legacy silos, like physical devices often lack standard APIs, which forces us to write complex manual CLI to code translations via Python. Um, the third is the snowflake problem, like years of historical undocumented manual changes have created unique states on almost every switch, um, for example, which immediately break the generic automation logic, right? And finally, there is definitely a skill gap. Like we are asking brilliant network engineers to transition from the CLI expertise to a software development mindset, which is using a combination of Git, YAML, and the Python. And that cultural shift is often the steepest hill to climb. Now, to overcome these constraints, we have mapped out a robust continuous improvement plan, which is spanning distinct critical phases. Our phase one, it focuses on self-healing networks, which is establishing closed loop remediations where health checks automatically trigger fix playbooks without waiting even for the human intervention. Phase two, it introduces hyper security validations, which is embedding STIG and OpenSCAP compliance checks directly into the CI/CD pipeline so that no unsecure configurations are physically can be physically deployed just like that, right? Phase three, it derives towards the native cloud interoperability, like allowing us to seamlessly manage uh, hybrid edges where physical switches and the VPC virtual endpoints, they share kind of a single IAC template, and not like different templates, right? So we are looking out for that interoperability across different clouds or the hyperscalers. And ultimately, this phased approach, we just want to ensure that we aren't just automating our current technical debt, but we are also actively kind of engineering a predictive and a highly resilient infrastructure which we want to build over a period of time. So I will leave you with a thought from Michael Dehan, who is the creator of Ansible. He created Ansible tool because he wanted the system administrators to spend less time on the admin task and more being creative. So the goal of this entire architecture, I will say, is not to replace the platform engineers. It's mostly to give the engineer their time backs, right? treat your hardware as a code, and you will find that taming the hardware is the best possible investment your IT can make. So with that, thank you so much for your time listening to me. I would love to take any questions on this topic, and if you are curious to connect with me over LinkedIn and go into details, I would love to do that. With that, take care and have a good one.